Hello guys, so today we're going to be talking about some basic graphics in Python. There's a professor by the name of John Zelle who wrote this graphics file to kind of help us, to teach us how to kind of get the graphics going a little bit easier. So we're going to be importing all this stuff. We're not going to talk about everything in here. We're just going to use it. So uh, that's what we're going to be basing our graphics off of, and he is a professor here at Wartburg College. And if you have any interest in his books, you can check out some of his Python books. He's got a lot of good books out there to read. All right, so let's go ahead and just kind of jump into this. So the first thing is we got to make sure that we import it. So you can see that we have that from graphics import asterisk. So we're just importing everything from that file. All right, so we're going to write everything in a definition called main. So the first thing we have to do is just set up a window. So to do that, we give it a name. I'm going to call it win for window. And we use the method graphWin. Now graphWin takes a few different parameters in. So first thing could be it's going to be our title. Right? And then the next one is the width. So we're just going to make this something square. And then the next one is the height. So now we can just test this by hitting play. We saw it flash. So it came up and vanished instantly. So we have to kind of fix that little issue so we can actually kind of see what's going on here. So if you scroll down a little bit, we're going to add in one little thing. This get mouse call down here. We're going to go ahead and put that in. So what we're going to add in is say win.getMouse. And we'll talk more about this later, but really that's going to make it pause and wait for our mouse click before it moves on. So let's try running it again and see what happens. So now you can see it's sitting up there. It's 400 in width, 400 in height, pixels, and then we can see the title at the top says what we typed in, our first graphics. All right. So if we want to change the dimensions, we could change the width if we wanted to. And you can see how the size changes. But you can play that on your own. I'm going to leave it at 400 by 400. All right, so we're just going to go through some of the basic methods that we can use to graph stuff. So the first thing is typically, when we talk about graphics or coordinates in a computer, our 0, 0 value is in the top left-hand corner where my mouse is at now. And the X values get bigger as we go to the right, and the Y values get bigger as we go down. So it's kind of, a weird way of thinking about the coordinate system for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the set coordinates method. And what this allows us to do is to set it up any way we want. So I'm going to set it up and then talk about what we're doing here. So we say our window, win, and we're going to say set chords. All right, so the first parameter is our lower left point. So we're going to say we're going to start at the origin here. So I'm going to use 0.0 and 0.0. So that way, the bottom left corner down here, you can see where my mouse is at, that's like our 0, 0 point. And then our high point, we'll say, is 10.0, 10.0. So really we're setting up a coordinate plane system that looks like the first quadrant. So hopefully this will make graphing stuff a little bit easier. So here's our 0, 0 point, and then this would be considered 10, 10 right here. So hopefully we can kind of lay things out kind of neat. All right. Well, let's talk about making a circle. So with a circle, you have a couple of different parameters that you're going to need. So the first one that we're going to have to set up is a center point. So I'm going to create a point, which is just a coordinate ordered pair, and I'm going to set it at 0, 0. So that's going to be our center point. And let's call it circle. So when we say circle, we create a new circle. call its constructor. We have to send it the point of its center. Then we need to tell it the radius we want it to have. All right, so let's check this out and see what happens. Absolutely nothing. So we've created our circle, but we have not told it to draw itself yet. So we're going to add in some stuff here. So let's fill it in with a certain color. So I'm going to take my circle and I'm going to fill it using the set fill. And we have a bunch of standard colors that we can use. So I'm just going to say yellow because I know it works. And then the last thing we should do is draw it. Now we should see it actually show up in the window. Let's try. So I should spell circle properly. All right, let's hit run and see what happens. All right, now we've got our circle. Our circle at the order pair 5, 5 with a radius of 4. So we want to add some eyes into it. So we'll have to use what we know to kind of make this look symmetrical. So start off, let's call it I1. An eye is going to be a circle again. So we're going to put a circle in. And we don't actually have to create a point. We could create a point like this as well. So this is another way to add in the point. Now we're going to use a radius of 1. So we can see that we're at 3, 6, and we have a radius of 1. Let's see what that eyeball looks like. Uh-oh, looks like we forgot something again. So we've got to remember that if we want it to actually show up, we have to do the draw. So we might as well add a color to it as well. So I'm going to say I1 equals, sorry, say I1 dot set fill. And let's check out another color. Let's use red. And let's go ahead and draw it. Oops, where I went. There we go. All right, we got an eye there now. Kind of big, but it'll work. So now we want to kind of reflect that onto the other side of the face so we have a symmetrical right eye. So I'm going to just copy this, paste it in. We could leave it as I1. I don't think it'll throw a fit about that because it's already drawn the other one. But I call it I2. So we need to move this guy over to 6 to make that symmetric. Okay, no, 7. Sorry. 2 away from the center. There we go. Now we got 2 red eyes. So mouth, let's say, use a rectangle for the mouth. So let's give it a name. And we got the rectangle constructor that we've got to call. And we have to send it 2 points. So I'm going to use the point 4.2 and the point 6.3. So this is like 2 corners of our rectangle. It doesn't matter which 2 corners you use. You just have to use 2 opposite corners of each other. All right, let's go ahead. I don't know, let's make the mouth, I don't know, blue. So I'm going to say rect dot set fill. I'm going to set it to blue. Now I need to draw it. So I'm going to say rect dot draw. And I have to tell it I want it to draw in the window. So I don't forget that this time. So now I've got a rectangle mouth. So realistic. All right. So you can also draw lines. And you guessed it, I'm going to call it line. And the constructor is called line. And you need 2 points with a line as well. You need a starting point and a stopping point. So I can say 1, 8. And let's do 9, 8. I'm not going to set the color or anything. I'm just going to let it draw. All right, let's see what we got. Now we can see I drew a line through his head. All right. Last example. You can also have text show up, and this is called drawing a message. So we're just gonna call it mess, and the constructor for this is we have to create some text. So we have to give it a point. I'm going to use 5, comma 0.5. Way I can kind of center it up at the bottom of the screen. And then the next parameter is just what you want it to say. There we go. Quit. All right, and we've already got our get mouse there. So you have one last thing to add in. This won't throw an error, but we should put it in. So whenever we're done with our window, we should always close it, just like we should with files when we read and write to them. All right, let's check this out and see what it looks like. Uh-oh, what I forget? I forgot to add in my draw for the text. All right, now let's check it out. So we can see that it centered that text up at 5, comma 0.5. So that point that they give you is the center point right here. Again, the lines 1,8, that is this point right here. And then the second 0.98 is right here. It's the starting and stopping point. And the rectangle got ordered pair of 4,2 and 6,3. So right here is 4,2. And then the other one is 6,3. So notice you just have to use opposite corners of the rectangle to make it draw. And again, the circles, 7, 6. 7, 6 is right there, the center of that eyeball. And then the radius is 1. All right, so that gets you started. Now you can kind of play around and try to make some stuff. And then the next lesson, we'll go a little further with this.